The stars looked like tiny diamonds against the black canvas of space. Captain Olivia Martinez stared at them through the main window of the exploration vessel Terra Nova. She had been in deep space for 3 months now, mapping new areas beyond the edge of human territory. "Captain, I'm picking up something strange," said Daniel Wright, the sensors officer. His fingers moved quickly across his screen. "It's big, really big." Martinez walked over to his station. "Show me." Wright pulled up the readings on the main screen. A cluster of large objects floated in the emptiness between star systems. They weren't moving. "Are those ships?" Martinez asked, leaning closer. "Yes, ma'am. At least 30 of them. Different sizes. And they're just drifting." Martinez turned to her communications officer. "Anything on the radio?" "No, Captain, wait." The young woman adjusted something on her console. "There's a weak signal, some kind of distress call, but not in any language I know." Martinez made a quick decision. "Set course to intercept. Let's see who's out there." As the Terra Nova moved closer, the size of the alien fleet became clear. Some ships were as small as their own vessel, while others were massive, city-sized structures floating in space. "Life signs?" Martinez asked. "Yes," Wright answered. "Thousands of them. But power levels on those ships are critically low." Martinez ordered her crew to prepare for first contact. She chose her most experienced officers to join her on the away. Team: Chief Engineer Pete Wilson, Medical Officer Sam Reyes, and Security Chief Laura Green. Before they could board their shuttle, a flickering hologram appeared on the Terra Nova's bridge. The image showed a tall reptilian creature with scaled skin and large golden eyes. "This is Fleet Commander Sithak of the Vexlar Collective," a computer translated. "Identify yourselves." Martinez stepped forward. "I am Captain Olivia Martinez of the Earth vessel Terra Nova. We detected your distress signal and came to offer assistance." The alien's eyes widened. "Earth? Humans? Impossible. Your kind does not possess deep space travel capabilities." Martinez smiled slightly. "I assure you we do." After a tense discussion, Sithak agreed to let the humans board his flagship. The alien seemed desperate despite his pride. When Martinez and her team stepped onto the alien vessel, they found emergency lighting casting red shadows everywhere. The air was warm and humid, comfortable for the reptilian Vexlar, but making the humans sweat in their uniforms. Sithak met them in a large command room. Standing over 7 feet tall, his presence was intimidating. 2 other aliens flanked him, one wearing what appeared to be a scientist's outfit, and another in military gear. "This is Science Director Nixora and Defense Commander Vexdar." Sithak introduced them. Martinez nodded respectfully. "What happened to your fleet?" Nixora stepped forward. "We were testing a new propulsion system when it suffered a catastrophic failure. All ships were connected to the main power grid during the test. When the system failed, it damaged the engines on every vessel. And why are you in empty space so far from any star system?" asked Pete Wilson. The aliens looked at each other before Sithak answered. "We were fleeing. The Krell Dominion attacked our homeworld without warning. This fleet carries what remains of our government and military command. And the Krell are still chasing you," Martinez guessed. "Yes. Our long-range sensors detected their battle fleet 2 days ago. They will arrive in approximately 68 of your hours." The humans exchanged concerned looks. Pete Wilson asked to see the engine rooms and Martinez agreed. The chief engineer followed Nixora through the dimly lit corridors of the alien ship. "I don't understand," Nixora said as they walked. "According to Galactic Council records, humans have only achieved basic space travel within their own system. You should not be here." "Galactic Council?" Wilson asked, surprised. "There's an organized government out here?" "Of course, hundreds of species across thousands of star systems. Earth is classified as a developing world, not yet ready for contact." Wilson laughed. "Well, we developed faster than your records show." When they reached the engine room, Wilson whistled in amazement. The technology was unlike anything he had seen before, but he could recognize the basic principles. The Vexlar used quantum field manipulation for propulsion, similar to Earth's experimental drives but more advanced. "Your main problem is here," Wilson said after an hour of examination. He pointed to a burned-out section of the control systems. You've got cascading failures across your power distribution network. Nixora made a sound like a hiss. We know this. But repairs would take weeks and we have only days. Maybe not, Wilson said. We could adapt some of our systems to work with yours. It wouldn't be pretty, but it might get your ships moving again. Meanwhile, on the bridge, Martinez was learning more about the situation from Sithak. The Krell believed themselves to be the rightful rulers of the galaxy, the alien commander explained. They destroy any civilization that grows too powerful or refuses to submit. And that's what happened to your homeworld? Martinez asked. Sithak's scales darkened in what seemed to be the alien equivalent of sadness. Yes. The Vexillar refused to surrender our independence. The price was our planet. Before Martinez could respond, her communicator beeped. Captain, came Wilson's excited voice. I think we can help these folks. Their technology is different from ours, but not incompatible. With some creative engineering, we might get them moving again. How long? Martinez asked. With their engineers helping, maybe 48 hours for the most critical ships. Sithak looked at Martinez with new respect. Your engineer believes he can fix what our best minds could not? Pete Wilson once fixed our main reactor with duct tape and spare parts, Martinez said with pride. If he says he can do it, he can. The alien tilted his head. What is this duct tape? Before Martinez could explain, an alarm sounded. A young Vexillar rushed into the room. Commander, long-range sensors have detected a Krell scout ship. They've changed course. They'll be here in 36 hours. The room fell silent. Then Martinez stood straighter and faced Sithak. We need to start work. Immediately. My ship will send a message back to Earth for reinforcements and supplies. She turned to her team. Let's show our new friends what humans can do when the clock is ticking. Sithak studied the human captain. These creatures were small, soft-skinned, and from a planet the galaxy considered primitive. Yet they showed no fear at the mention of the Krell. Only determination. Perhaps, he thought, we have found either the bravest or the most foolish species in the galaxy. Either way, the Vexillar had no choice but to trust these humans. Their survival depended on it. Pete Wilson wiped sweat from his brow as he studied the alien engine core. The Vexillar ship was too hot for his comfort, but he focused on the task at hand. 5 Vexillar engineers watched him with doubtful eyes. This part here, Wilson said, pointing to a glowing blue crystal structure. What does it do? The lead Vexillar engineer, Zextil, answered with a hint of superiority. That is the quantum field stabilizer. It prevents reality fractures during faster-than-light travel. Wilson nodded. We call it a dimensional buffer. Ours look different, but they do the same job. The alien blinked in surprise. Back on Earth, NASA Director Frank Hoffman paced back and forth in the Emergency Control Center. The message from Captain Martinez had arrived 3 hours ago, and he had been assembling a response team ever since. The quantum link stable? He asked a technician. Yes, sir. We can communicate with the Terra Nova in real time. Hoffman nodded. Get me Dr. Lisa Montgomery and Kevin Riley. Dr. Montgomery arrived first, her hair messy as if she had been pulled from deep work. She was Earth's leading expert on experimental propulsion systems. You said it's urgent, she said, not bothering with greetings. The Terra Nova found a fleet of alien ships stranded in deep space, Hoffman explained. Hostile forces are approaching. They need our help to get those ships moving again. Montgomery's eyes widened. Aliens? Real aliens? Very real, and they're about to be very dead if we don't help. Kevin Riley burst into the room next. He wore an old t-shirt with oil stains and carried a tablet computer. Despite his disheveled appearance, Riley was a brilliant engineer known for solving impossible problems. What's the crisis? He asked, grinning with excitement. After Hoffman explained the situation, Riley and Montgomery were connected to the Terra Nova through the quantum communicator. Wilson's face appeared on the screen, and behind him stood the tall reptilian aliens. These are the Vexillar, Wilson introduced them. They need our help. For the next hour, the The human scientists exchanged information with the alien engineers. The Vexlar became increasingly confused as the humans suggested ideas that contradicted galactic engineering standards. "What you suggest is impossible," Zextil said when Riley proposed combining the humans' fusion technology with the aliens' quantum drives. "The energy patterns are incompatible." "Only if you use standard conversion methods," Riley argued. "But what if we modulate the output through a series of stepped transformers?" The aliens looked at each other in confusion. Montgomery stepped in to explain with simple diagrams. "Think of it like changing the shape of the energy, not just its type," she said. Meanwhile, Science Officer Paul Jackson was making an interesting discovery aboard the Terra Nova. He had been analyzing the data from the alien ships and found something surprising. "Captain," he said, approaching Martinez on the Vexlar flagship's command deck, "the aliens' propulsion system is based on principles similar to our experimental drives." "That makes sense," Martinez replied. "Advanced technology often develops along similar paths." "No, that's not what I mean," Jackson insisted. "Their system is similar to our theoretical models from 20 years ago, but they seem to have hit a development wall that we pushed past 5 years ago." Martinez frowned. "You're saying our drive technology might actually be more advanced in some ways?" "Exactly. They have more refined materials and better power management, but we solved some theoretical problems they're still struggling with." Martinez considered this new information. "Can we use this to help them?" "I think so. I need to talk to Wilson and the Earth team." In the engine room, tensions were rising. The Vexillar engineers had moved from doubt to outright dismissal of the humans' ideas. "What you suggest would create a catastrophic overload," Zextil insisted. "No species in the galaxy uses such methods." "Well, humans do," Wilson said firmly. "And it works for us." Fleet Commander Sithak entered with Martinez and Jackson. "What is the problem here?" the commander asked. "The humans suggest methods that violate basic engineering principles," Zextil explained. "It would be dangerous to attempt them." Jackson stepped forward. "With respect, our methods only violate your principles because you haven't discovered the solutions we have." The room fell silent. Sithak's golden eyes narrowed. "Explain." Jackson pulled out a tablet computer and displayed a series of complex equations. "These represent the theoretical barrier your engineers hit with quantum field manipulation. And these," he swiped to a new screen, "are the solutions we developed." The Vexillar scientists crowded around the small screen. Their expressions showed disbelief turning slowly to wonder. "This cannot be correct," one scientist said. "The field harmonics would collapse." "Not if you account for dimensional feedback," Jackson replied. "Look at the secondary equations." While the scientific debate continued, Dr. Montgomery had been working with Riley to create a demonstration model. Through the quantum link, they transmitted the designs to a fabricator on the Terra Nova. 2 hours later, Wilson entered the command deck carrying a small device. It hummed with energy, blue light pulsing from its core. "This is a miniature version of the hybrid drive system we're proposing," he explained. "It combines our fusion technology with components similar to your quantum drive." The Vexillar engineers watched with skeptical eyes as Wilson placed the device on a table and activated it. The blue light stabilized and began to glow more brightly. A field of energy formed around the device, bending light slightly. "Impossible," Zextil whispered. The readings on his instruments contradicted everything he had been taught. "The field is stable," Wilson said with a smile. "Small scale, of course, but the principles would work for your ships." Defense Commander Vextar, who had been silently observing, finally spoke. "How long to implement this across the fleet?" Wilson looked at Martinez, who turned to her science team. "If we focus on the most critical ships first and work with the Vexillar engineers, maybe 30 hours for enough ships to evacuate everyone." "Have 34 hours before the Krell arrive," Sithak said. "Begin immediately." The next day was a blur of activity. Human engineers from the Terra Nova worked alongside the Vexlar, teaching them techniques that the aliens had never considered possible. The humans' ability to improvise and find unconventional solutions amazed the aliens. "Your species thinks differently," Nixora observed to Martinez as they watched a human-alien team install a modified power coupling. You ignore established limits. That's because we didn't know those limits existed, Martinez replied with a small smile. Sometimes ignorance leads to innovation. As the hours passed, Sithak received updates from his security teams. The Krell were getting closer, now just 20 hours away. But the impossible was happening. Ships were coming back online. Their power systems restored through methods no galactic engineer would have attempted. These humans, Sithak said quietly to Vexstar, they accomplish what they should not be able to do. Yes, the defense commander agreed. That makes them either extremely valuable allies or potentially dangerous, Sithak finished. But right now, they are our only hope. In the distance, the lights of the first repaired Vexlar ship flared to life, its engines glowing with a new hybrid energy signature never before seen in the galaxy. The countdown timer on the main screen showed 8 hours remaining before the Krell fleet would arrive. Captain Martinez stood on the bridge of the Terra Nova, looking at the status reports of the Vexillar ships. 23 ships have functioning drives, she said to Commander Sithak. What about the other 7? The tall alien scales shifted color slightly, showing stress. Their drive systems were too damaged. Repairs would take days more. Then we tow them, Martinez said simply. Sithak made a hissing sound. Tow ships through faster-than-light travel? That has never been done successfully. Martinez smiled. Humans are good at doing things that have never been done before. Pete Wilson joined them, wiping grease from his hands with a rag. His eyes were red from lack of sleep, but he looked satisfied. We can modify the Terra Nova's tractor systems. To link with the damaged Vexlar ships, it won't be pretty, but it should work. Should? Sithak questioned. In engineering, a should is as good as it gets sometimes, Wilson replied. Martinez turned to the alien commander. We need to decide on a route. Where can your people find safety? Sithak activated a star map. The nearest safe haven is the Tellaris Nebula. There is a habitable planet there that the Krell avoid due to electromagnetic interference with their sensors. How far? 3 days at maximum speed. Martinez nodded. We need to plot a course that gives us the best chance to outrun the Krell. Pilot Alan Cooper, who had been listening quietly, stepped forward. Sir, what about through the Cygnus asteroid field? The Vexlar officers made sounds of alarm. Sithak's eyes widened. The asteroid field is extremely dense. No fleet has ever attempted to navigate it at faster-than-light speeds. Exactly, Cooper said. The Krell wouldn't expect it. They'd have to go around, which would buy us time. Martinez studied the young pilot. Can you do it? Cooper nodded confidently. I can plot a course through the thinner sections. With the new hybrid drives, we'd have the maneuverability to make it work. It would be extremely dangerous, Sithak warned. More dangerous than facing a Krell battle fleet, Martinez asked. The alien commander had no answer for that. 6 hours later, the combined human Vexillar fleet was ready to depart. The formation was unusual. The Terra Nova would lead, followed by the repaired Vexillar ships in a protective sphere around the 7 damaged vessels. Special energy tethers connected the damaged ships to the functioning ones. All ships report ready, Captain, Communications Officer Susan Miller announced. Martinez took a deep breath. Pilot Cooper, take us out. Cooper's fingers danced across the controls. The Terra Nova's engines hummed with power, the hybrid human Vexillar technology creating new harmonics that no one had heard before. Engaging drive in 3, 2, 1. Stars stretched into lines as the ships accelerated to faster-than-light speed. The damaged Vexillar ships shuddered but held together, pulled along by the energy tethers. It's working, Wilson exclaimed, watching the readings. The tethers are holding. They had been traveling for only 2 hours when the long-range sensors sounded an alarm. Susan Miller checked her console and turned to Martinez with a worried expression. Captain, I'm detecting Krell ships. They must have increased their speed when they realized the Vexillar fleet was escaping. How many? 5 vessels, scout class. The main fleet is still behind them. Martinez turned to Sithak. Can we outrun them? Not for long, the alien commander replied. Krell scout ships are built for speed. Susan Miller suddenly straightened in her chair. Captain, I'm picking up transmissions between the Krell ships. I think I can decode them. Do it, Martinez ordered. After a few minutes of work, Miller looked up in surprise. They're talking about us, about humans. They seem shocked to find us helping the Vexler. What are they saying exactly? Sithak asked. Miller hesitated. They're designating Earth as an enemy of the Krell Dominion. They've sent a message to their high command to update their target list. A heavy silence fell over the bridge. Martinez had just made humanity an enemy of a powerful alien empire they knew almost nothing about. Well, she said finally, I guess we'd better not let them catch us then. The Cygnus asteroid field appeared ahead of them, a vast cloud of rocks ranging from the size of cars to small moons. At faster-than-light speeds, it looked like a solid wall of death. Everyone hold on, Cooper said, his face intense with concentration. This is going to get rough. The Terra Nova plunged into the asteroid field, the rest of the fleet following its exact path. Cooper's hands never stopped moving as he made micro-adjustments to their course, threading the ships through gaps that seemed impossibly small. The engine room. Wilson and the engineering team worked frantically to maintain the energy tethers as the sudden course changes put enormous strain on the systems. The couplings are overheating, a young engineer shouted. Reroute coolant from the secondary systems, Wilson ordered. We need those tethers to hold for just a few more hours. On the bridge, Sithak watched in amazement as Cooper navigated, paths that Vexlar pilots would never have attempted. Your pilot's reflexes are extraordinary, he said to Martinez. Cooper holds the record for the fastest run through Earth's Saturn ring training course, she replied. This is what he lives for. The Krell scouts followed them into the asteroid field, but they were more cautious. One Krell ship miscalculated and collided with a massive asteroid, exploding in a ball of fire. They're falling behind, Miller reported, excitedly. But the victory was short-lived. The sensors showed the main Krell battle fleet approaching the edge of the asteroid field. They're not following us in, Miller said. They're going around to cut us off at the exit. The Krell commander's face appeared on the communication screen, a black-scaled reptilian with red eyes and bone ridges on its head. Surrender the Vexillar criminals and perhaps we will spare your primitive species, it said in a harsh voice. Otherwise, your world will be the next to burn. Martinez signaled Miller to cut the transmission. Charming fellow, she muttered. The Krell do not make empty threats, Sithak warned. They will target your homeworld now. Then we'll deal with that problem when we come to it, Martinez said firmly. Right now we need to focus on getting your people to safety. She studied the star maps looking for options. Then she noticed a dense cloud of cosmic dust near their position. What about that nebula? She asked, pointing to it. Could we hide there? Sithak looked doubtful. The radiation levels would make detection difficult, but the dust would also interfere with our engines. Martinez smiled. But what if we weren't using our engines at all? She quickly explained her plan. They would exit the asteroid field at T1 full speed, then cut all power and drift silently into the dust cloud using only momentum. The timing would have to be perfect, Cooper said, and we'd have no control once we cut power. Can you do it? Martinez asked. The pilot nodded slowly. I can try. As they neared the edge of the asteroid field, Martinez gave the order to prepare for power shutdown. The Vexlar ships acknowledged the plan, though many of their captains expressed doubt. All ships on my mark, Martinez said, watching the timer. 3, 2, 1. Cut power. Throughout the fleet, engines fell silent. The ships continued forward, on momentum alone, drifting toward the nebula like ghosts. On the Krell vessels waiting beyond the asteroid field, sensors searched for their prey. But they found nothing but silence and dust. For 3 days, the combined fleet drifted silently through the dust cloud. With minimal power running only for life support, the ships were nearly invisible to sensors. Finally, they emerged into a star system with a bright yellow sun and 6 planets, Scanners show the third planet is habitable, Science Officer Paul Jackson reported. Oxygen atmosphere, moderate temperatures, abundant water. Captain Martinez nodded. Any signs of the Krell? None, Captain. I think we lost them. A cheer went up from the crew. Even the Vexillor officers showed signs of relief, their scales brightening. In color. As soon as the ships landed on the planet's surface, repair teams began work on the damaged vessels. The planet had a comfortable gravity and breathable air, though it was cooler than the Vexillor preferred. Martinez established a base camp near a large lake. Human and Vexillor engineers set up power generators and communication equipment. For the first time in days, they had a moment to rest and reflect on their situation. Cultural Officer Nora Garcia set up a meeting area where humans and Vexillor could talk and learn about each other. At first, the aliens were hesitant, but curiosity soon overcame their caution. Tell us about your world, a young Vexillor named Kurtax asked Garcia. Several other aliens gathered to listen. Earth is about 70% water, Garcia explained. We have many different climates, from very hot deserts to freezing polar regions. Humans have adapted to live in most of them. And your history? Another, Vexillor asked. How did you advance so quickly? Garcia hesitated, knowing that human history contained many dark chapters. We've had our struggles, wars, conflicts, environmental challenges. But each time, we pushed ourselves to find solutions. She displayed images of Earth's history on a screen. Early airplanes, the first moon landing, the International Space Station, and finally, the first faster-than-light test ship. Your species went from primitive flight to FTL travel in less than 300 Earth years? Nixora asked, joining the group. Yes, Garcia confirmed. The aliens looked at each other in astonishment. Most species take at least 2,000 years to make such advances, Nixora explained. The galactic average is closer to 3,000 years. Now it was the humans' turn to be surprised. Meanwhile, Security Chief John Peterson was working with Defense Commander Vexstar to set up perimeter defenses around the camp. Your weapons are different from ours, Vexstar noted, examining a human rifle. Less powerful but more versatile. Peterson nodded. We believe in having options. Different situations call for different approaches. As they worked, Peterson noticed that the Vexillor were extremely protective of several large containers they had brought from their ships. What's in those? He asked casually. Vexstar's scales darkened. Important cultural items, he said shortly. Peterson didn't believe him, but he didn't press the issue. Later, he reported his observations to Captain Martinez. They're hiding something, he concluded. Those containers have heavy security, and they're keeping them away from us. Could they be weapons? Martinez asked. Possibly. Or valuable technology. I can't tell without looking inside. Martinez thought for a moment. Let's not push it for now. We need their trust. In the medical tent, Dr. Sam Reyes was exchanging information with the Vexillor health officers. A female Vexillor scientist named Mithra had been particularly interested in human biology. May I take a small blood sample? She asked Reyes. Just for analysis. The doctor agreed, curious himself about the differences between their species. Later, that day, Mithra rushed into the command tent where Martinez and Sithek were discussing future plans. Commander, you must see this, she exclaimed, holding up a data pad. Her scales were bright with excitement. What is it, scientist? Sithak asked. I analyzed the human DNA, she explained, showing him the screen. Look at these marker sequences. Sithak's eyes widened. That cannot be correct. Run the test again. Martinez looked between them. Is something wrong? Not wrong, Mithra said. But surprising. Your DNA contains marker sequences similar to those found in precursor artifacts. Precursors? Martinez asked. Sithak hesitated before explaining. The precursors were an ancient race that supposedly seeded life throughout the galaxy before mysteriously vanishing millions of years ago. Many species consider them mythical, but artifacts with their technology occasionally surface. And you're saying we have their DNA? Martinez asked skeptically. Not exactly, Mithra clarified, but there are similarities that suggest a connection. It could explain your species' rapid development and innovative thinking. That evening, Martinez found Sithak standing alone on a hill, watching the sunset. The alien commander seemed troubled. Beautiful. Phew, Martinez said, joining him. Yes, Sithak agreed. It reminds me of our homeworld, before it was destroyed. Martinez waited, sensing there was more he wanted to say. Captain, I have not been entirely truthful with you, Sithak finally admitted. The Krell are not pursuing us simply because we refused to submit. I suspected there was more to the story, Martinez said quietly. Sithak gestured toward the camp where the mysterious containers were being guarded. Those boxes contain our most valuable technological and historical data, including information about the precursors. He turned to face Martinez directly. There is an ancient prophecy among the oldest galactic civilizations. It states that one day, the descendants of the precursors would return and overthrow the established order of the galaxy. And the Krell believe this prophecy? They fear it, Sithak corrected. The Krell rule through technological superiority. The prophecy suggests that the precursors' descendants would bring revolutionary technologies that would make the Krell's power obsolete. Martinez was beginning to understand. And they believe the Vexlar are these descendants? They did, Sithak said. Our scientists discovered a precursor artifact that contained advanced technological principles. We were studying it when the Krell attacked. They were determined to eliminate us before we could develop the technology further. But now they've seen humans helping you, Martinez said slowly. And if Mithra's analysis is correct, they may decide that humans are an even greater threat, Sithak finished, especially given how quickly your species advances technologically. Martinez looked up at the darkening sky, wondering if Krell ships were already searching for them. Commander, I think it's time you showed me what's in those containers, she said firmly. If Earth is in danger because of this, we need to know exactly what we're dealing with. Sithak nodded. You have earned the right to know. But I warn you, Captain, once you see what we've discovered, there will be no going back. The knowledge will change how you view yourselves and your place in the galaxy. Humanity has faced revelations before, Martinez said. We adapt. It's what we do best. As they walked back to camp, neither of them noticed the small probe that orbited silently above the planet, transmitting data to a distant receiver. The warning came at dawn. Susan Miller burst into the command tent where Martinez was reviewing repair reports. Captain, our long-range sensors just detected a massive fleet entering this system. It's the Krell, and they've brought reinforcements. Martinez immediately called an emergency meeting with Sithak and her senior officers. How many ships? She asked Miller. At least 50, Captain. Much larger than the force that was chasing us before. Sithak's scales paled. They must have called in ships from across their territory. They are determined to eliminate us, and now you as well. Martinez activated the communication link to Earth. Director Hoffman, we have a situation. Hoffman's face appeared on the screen, looking grim. We've been monitoring. Earth Security Council has been debating our response since your last report. And? Martinez asked. We've made our decision, Hoffman said firmly. Humanity stands. With the Vexlar, Admiral Catherine Wilson has already deployed the First Fleet to your coordinates. Martinez was shocked. The First Fleet? I didn't even know we had a First Fleet. Hoffman smiled slightly. We've been building military vessels in secret while only showing scientific ships to deep space observers. The Admiral will arrive in 12 hours with 20 warships. When Martinez relayed this news, Sithak was stunned. Your people would risk war with the Krell for aliens you just met? That's what humans do, Martinez said simply. We help people in trouble. As the Krell fleet approached, another surprise arrived. 3 sleek ships appeared in orbit, bearing the symbol of the Galactic Council. They're hailing us, Miller reported. Blue-skinned alien with 4 arms appeared on the screen. This is Council Envoy Zaltar. We demand that both Krell and human forces withdraw immediately. This is an internal galactic matter. Martinez stepped forward. I'm Captain Olivia Martinez, of Earth. We're here because the Vexillar needed help after the Krell destroyed their homeworld. The Krell had authorization to contain the Vexillar threat, the envoy stated coldly. What threat? Martinez demanded. Having knowledge the Krell don't want them to have? Ambassador George Bennett, who had arrived from Earth with the science. Team joined the conversation. Envoy Zaltar, we've examined the Vexillar data cores. They contain evidence that the Krell have been systematically eliminating species with potential to challenge their dominance. Bennett transmitted files showing the Krell's attacks on multiple civilizations over centuries. These are serious accusations, Zaltar said, looking troubled. Before the envoy could respond further, the Krell fleet arrived in orbit. Their commander, a massive black-scaled reptilian, appeared on all communication channels. Surrender the Vexillar and the humans or we will destroy this planet, he growled. Admiral Wilson's voice cut in. This is Admiral Catherine Wilson of the Earth Defense Force. We suggest you reconsider that threat. The First Fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel directly behind the Krell ships. The human vessels were smaller but more maneuverable, using the hybrid drive technology in ways even their inventors hadn't imagined possible. The Krell commander laughed. Your primitive ships are no match for our fleet. Perhaps not, Wilson agreed. But we're not alone. The Vexillar ships rose, from the planet's surface, their engines glowing with new power, and from the nearby nebula, 6 more ships appeared, vessels from other species who had suffered under Krell oppression and had been hiding in the dust cloud. The battle was brief, but intense. Human ships executed maneuvers that defied conventional, galactic military tactics, confusing the Krell formations. The Vexillar used their knowledge of Krell weaknesses to target key systems. Together, they forced the Krell commander to retreat with half his fleet destroyed. As the Galactic Council envoys watched in amazement, humans and Vexillar worked together seamlessly, as if they had been allies for centuries instead of days. Impossible, Zaltar whispered. 1 month later, Captain Martinez and Commander Sithak stood on the observation deck of a newly constructed space station orbiting the planet they now called New Haven. The Galactic Council has officially recognized Earth as a major power, Martinez said, reading from a tablet. Despite our premature advancement, Sithak made a sound like laughter. They fear you now. They don't need to, Martinez replied. We're not looking to conquer anyone. No, Sithak agreed. But you have changed the galaxy forever. The Krell's power is broken. Other oppressed species are rising up, and humans and Vexillar are showing everyone a new way forward. Below them, construction teams were building the first settlement on New Haven, a place where humans and Vexillar would live together. And in orbit, engineers from a dozen species were studying the hybrid technology that humans had created. What? Do you think the future holds for us? Martinez asked. Sithak looked out at the stars. I think the prophecy was correct. The descendants of the precursors have returned. But instead of overthrowing the galaxy, we're helping rebuild it, Martinez finished. Together they watched as a ship bearing the new Human Vexillar Alliance emblem departed for Earth, carrying the first alien ambassadors to officially visit humanity's homeworld. The galaxy would never be the same again. The end